Welcome back, everybody. It is the Working Brother back at you with another talk. Yet again, we've got George McMillan III. George, welcome back. It's been so long. How you doing?
I'm still doing great.
You're always doing great. It's unbelievable. It's like the most. You're either great or you're terrific.
Yeah, I try to oscillate between the two.
It's almost as predictable as the fact that I'm going to say this is a comedy show. Nothing we say here has anything to do with reality. Now that that's out of the way, we've got the second part of this talk going on. If you missed the first part, it is uploaded. It is on this YouTube channel. There are many others. There's even a playlist with George where we discuss all kinds of geopolitical humor. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of other things to get into today. We were discussing things that you sent along. This is from, where is this from? This is New York Times. Behind the paywall, but we got around the paywall. Europe grapples with energy crisis 3 years after Ukrainian invasion. What does this say that's worth talking about, George? Are they just surprised?
That just goes back to my Russian natural gas and global geopolitical realignment series of papers and those videos that we did at the end of 2022 and beginning of 2023. Yeah, they've cut Germany and Japan and all these countries off from cheap Russian natural gas via pipeline, and now their businesses are going out of business. I mean, Stevie Wonder should have been able to see this. But somehow you have, okay, Pete Hegseth he was a major. He's only trained at the tactical and operational levels of warfare. He is not trained at the grand strategic level of warfare. He knows nothing about it. He's, him and the Trump team have done this whole, dealing with Putin from a position of strength. They're in a little bubble of their own. Yeah, I mean, Pete Hegseth has done great as far as he knows which generals to fire, which is good. Recruitment is way, way up. That's great. So the principal functions that he's there for, he's done an outstanding job. That being said, at the grand strategic level for that stoplight, 4-level, strategy bridge chart that I always show, that he doesn't know the grand strategic level at the top. That's his weakness, and he needs to add somebody else in there, like myself, of course, but that's snowball's chance of that in hell of working. They've already gone down this road of where they're going to deal with Putin from a position of strength. And yes, Putin, he's going to have some kind of conversation with Trump, just for the sake of having some kind of conversation. But he's already been stating for over a year, Rublev and Peskov and Medvedev and Lavrov and all those people, they've already been talking about until they're not going to have meaningful conversations with Trump until they've met the preconditions, which is the removal of U.S. military equipment out of the Donbass. So that means the Ukrainian army has to retreat to the other side of the river, basically, just to make it simple. And they're not going to do that because they're dealing with Putin from a position of strength. They're going to escalate the costs until he's begging to come to the table. Well, you heard the Mearsheimer clip before that you played on the last video. People can watch, Lieutenant Colonel Danny Davis deep dive. That's not going to happen. There's a 7-to-1 WIA-KI ratio in favor of the Russians. The Russians are just going to continue this until they run out of Ukrainians. Also came up in a Washington Post article the other day, I think it was the Washington Post, that Kellogg's daughter, Megan Mobes, works for an NGO in Romania on the Romanian-Ukrainian border, bringing in Western mercenaries in and out of Ukraine. So apparently she's profiting off of this. So there's, they're not going to end the war in Ukraine. It looks like yeah, there you go.
I found
there
it.
you
That's
go.
what I was looking for. We
Yeah,
had some technical difficulties there. I started up a ancient version of Risk, the game, by accident while I was looking through the thumbnails folder. So yeah, this is what you were talking about.
right. Pete Hegseth was an 04, a major. He's only trained at the tactical and operational levels. The 3 and 4 stars are trained a little bit higher than that, up in the theater strategic or regional strategic levels. But they're not trained at the grand strategic level. Most of that lies outside of the US government. Because look at the chart. The institutional levels are at the strategic, operational, and tactical levels. The grand strategic policy level is done in the private sector. Okay, who hires the most PhD economists? It's going to be the finance world and big oil. Those are the principal historical drivers of that. They just take the economists that they like and they send them to the Yale Grand Strategies courses during the summer. And that way they keep the grand strategic level a secret. And then they tell the intelligence community and the Pentagon what to do. They work with, the Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, the Department of Energy on the civilian institutional side, because it's not just the institutional levels of the different military branches, it's also in the executive law enforcement agencies and civilian economic agencies that they're dealing with. So the grand strategic level is not even in the US government. General Wesley Clark alludes to that in his foreign policy coup videos that he did in 2007 campaign speech. No, in the American system, it's the civilian sector that tells the government what to do. So it was designed to work this way. It's just gotten to the point where oligarchs run it inside the United States. Okay, it's not the first time. We had the robber baron era of the early 20th century. C. Wright Mills wrote his books on the elite families that control the U.S. government. He wrote that back in 1932, I believe. So this is just worse now because with the post-depression legislatures like Glass-Steagall Act, they wanted to break up the robber barons into a whole bunch of different, more competitive companies. So not just a few oligarchs could run it. There'd be more conflict and competition between the oligarchs. Well, the Clinton administration reversed all of those laws and allowed a whole bunch of mergers and acquisitions during the 80s and 90s. So now the power really is concentrated into the hands of a few in the United States. And yes, it's really the grand strategic level is really run by, not more than a couple of dozen people. And then they have just a couple hundred analysts at the top. I've duplicated that information in my slide sets. It's not a big group of people that has that type of information. And yeah, I realize, I get it. The general audience doesn't realize what I'm doing by doing these slide sets at the grand strategic level. Because, okay, you get the dumbass channels that don't know the sea power versus land power theories, don't know anything about how proxy wars are started between ethnic, religious, and linguistic rivalries within each area. They have no idea how this works. They have no idea how the Mockingbird channels are funded and supported and developed. Okay, I didn't say that in the causal order, but wrong order, but same sentiment. No, they don't know how any of that works. They really, okay, I'm looking at since Hegseth mentioned the Ukrainian Defense Contract Group, the UDCD, right on their website, it says, this is just, it says the UDC, which was founded under Austin in response to Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Well, if it was so unprovoked, why did they keep on repeating that? whether it be the Kagans or Ann Applebaum or Fiona Hill, they have to keep on saying unprovoked and unjust invasion. Well, who are they trying to convince?
Like, not only them, every single YouTube channel also did that.
Oh yeah, the Mockingbird channels all say that, and then the non-Mockingbird channels, the ones that are independent, they just fall into that. They just get sucked into it. They just repeat it because everybody else is repeating it because they don't know the independent. They don't know the.
Guess what I'm going to do, George?
So I'm going to remind everybody. I'm going to remind everybody this channel is not eligible for monetization. You can buy me a coffee if you are so inclined, and thank you if you have. Thank you to everyone who's been a patron silently in the background, getting no benefits and supporting me. And also thank you to everybody else who's shared and subscribed and liked and everything. We've passed 1,600 subscribers. So, like, yay, hurrah, all that good stuff. Why do I keep clicking the wrong thing here? All right, now that housekeeping is out of the way, we can get into some more USAID stuff, George. I wanna get into some of this USAID stuff with you. I've got Representative Nancy Mace
pearl clutching over the last several days from my colleagues across the aisle on Donald Trump, Secretary Rubio, the Department of Government Efficiency's plan to reorganize the U.S. Agency for International Development, or as we all now know, USAID. They're screaming about Elon Musk over there, but hey, George Soros and his boy are okay.
I can't believe she said that.
We're all a threat to democracy when they've been systematically dismantling democracy before our eyes. They've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And there's no going back. So I would tell my colleagues across the other side of the aisle, take your salty tears and sit right back down. USAID has long strayed from its mission to effectively and efficiently administer aid to advance American interests. USAID has become rotten to its core, sacrificing the prudent use of taxpayer dollars at the altar of advancing radical, sinister social and political agendas abroad. From discriminatory DEI initiatives to extreme gender ideology to marginalize real bona fide biological women. For decades, while homeless veterans sleep on our streets, our communities rebuild from natural disasters, and American families struggle to get by, USAID has pillaged and plundered the American treasury, essentially lighting American taxpayer dollars on fire, funding some of the stupidest, just dumbest initiatives imaginable, all supported by the left, and that's why their party is crumbling. Today, I'm going to expose some of the initiatives USAID has funded over the years and ask each of you a yes or no question. If you believe these expenditures of American taxpayer dollars put America first. So it'll be yes or no.
George, yes or no?
USAID awarded $2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala. So to each of you this morning, does this advance the interests of American citizens paying for trannies in Guatemala to the tune of $2 million? Yes, sir.
By the way, it took me like 15 minutes to find the full clip because if you go look for the clip, you only get the excerpt of her calling transgender people trannies, and lefties complaining about it, how they can't believe it, and it's like censored, so it's like beeped out when she says trannies. So like if anybody's offended by the term trannies that she said, I'm sorry, I'm just quoting her.
Or no.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've worked in some transmission repair shops before. I don't know why that's illegal.
I have no position.
Of course you don't. Okay, USAID awarded over $750,000 to fund alleviating loneliness among migrant garment workers in India. Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
USAID awarded $1.5 million for providing a gender-sensitive response to migration at the Venezuelan border. Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
Does this advance the interests? Okay, so USAID awarded $4.3 million on October 1st, 2023 to a group to fund comprehensive health services for Men having sex with other men in South Africa. Does this advance the interests of American citizens, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
I bet you don't. Okay.
got
USAID
2 more
awarded
minutes of this.
$1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities by promoting economic empowerment and opportunity for LGBTQI plus people in Serbia.
No way, it's LGBTQ plus I people in Serbia, huh? Serbia got the plus as well.
Does this advance America's interests?
No.
No. Nope.
You have no idea, right? Okay. USAID awarded over $70,000 to a group to deliver a live musical event to promote the U.S. and Irish shared values of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Does this advance the interests of America?
No.
No. No position.
No position or no clue. Okay, USAID awarded $1.5 million to fund strengthening community support structures to upscale LGBT rights advocacy in Jamaica. Does this advance our interests?
No.
No. No position.
USAID awarded $28 million to a group to facilitate the economic insertion of Venezuelan migrants and refugees in Peru and Ecuador. Does this advance our interests?
No.
No. No position.
Okay, USAID awarded $17.5 million to fund voluntary medical male circumcision overseas. Does this advance America's interests?
No. No position.
I don't know what circumcision overseas has to do with America First either. USAID awarded nearly $150,000 to fund HIV prevention services targeting men who have sex with men and transgender. Does this advance America's interests?
No.
No. No position.
George, do you think any of this advances America's position?
Oh yeah, I mean they can just go right down the list. This stuff is just totally stupid. They're advancing 7P plan of the left, overseas and domestically.
That's what it sounds like to me. Thanks for saying it, because it sounds like all that stuff that we talked about that was being done in the U.S. was also, I mean, we did cover it. It was also being done everywhere else to not only undermine governments but undermine civilization and society.
Yeah. The two gender domain specific premise of male and female. Yeah, that's an evolutionary stable strategy around the family unit. Everything else is not an evolutionary stable strategy, and the population of the European community people, the indigenous, is absolutely totally collapsing. The population of South Korea is collapsing, and same thing with Japan. So, and then they want to bring in migrants from the third world, that are of a particular Abrahamic religion of the Middle East, and they're going to solve that problem, which is they're having difficulties in, say, the UK.
They have difficulties in several places. Before we get on to the difficulties of international politics and migration, I just want to laugh at some more of this USAID stuff. My new favorite U.S. Senator, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana.
People didn't know that. He found that the USAID gave $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBTQ group called Grupa Izladaji. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies. Anyway, they got $1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. What else did Mr. Musk found that my colleagues don't want to talk about? Well, he reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done by the Middle East Forum. They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world. We're not talking Cub Scout troops here. We're talking about radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. George, your comments?
Yeah, I had a little spat with another a certain individual from the Epic Times. I'll leave his name out of it. Supposedly, I had a PhD in economics from somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, he's covering the war on Myanmar, and I read one of his articles. And he's talking about the Chinese base in Chakwa is to interfere with maritime shipping of the West. Okay, just these comments are just stupid. He didn't mention the big oil and gas field out of Chakwa that I've been talking about for years now on our earlier shows, and the big, huge natural gas and oil pipelines that go from there up to Kunming, China. So he doesn't mention that, and when I tell him that that's probably an insurgency that's externally exacerbated, let me put it that way, or externally influenced. I think I can say that without getting into too much trouble. He insists that it's a grassroots effort that's indigenous. Okay, but up in Shan State, which is that's where like there's Burmese there, but there's also Hue, or I'm probably not pronouncing the name right, but that's the Islamist Turkic peoples. They're different from the Uyghurs, but they moved into that area during World War II to get away from Mao Zedong and the communist forces, and they started working with different Western agencies to sell a certain product in the Golden Triangle between Myanmar and Laos and Thailand is famous for. Eyes Wide Open channel discusses that in depth. So it just happens to be in that area that gets armed up in Shan State, where the pipeline crosses into China, where the Chinese natural gas pipelines just happen to also be blowing up. And this person doesn't think that there's any external influences involved.
Of course not,
Okay.
George. You're a Russian conspiracy theorist.
Right. So these people, so if you want to know where that USAID money is going, just look at wherever there's Russian and Chinese infrastructure that gets blown up. And that's probably a pretty good guess about where it's going.
That's a funny way to look at things, George. But I can't say that it would be far from the truth. I want to get into some more of this Dodge stuff. By the way, why is it Doge? Why is it not Dodge? And why is it not DOGE? Like it's the FBI. It's not the FBI. It's not the CIA. It's the CIA. So this would be the DOGE. This is Musk.
It's not Dodge. Dodge is a type of car.
No, Dodge is what you do when someone throws something at you.
This is true.
Dodges ceased to be cars a long time ago. In any case, this is Musk talking about retirement from the federal government.
Get the retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, then the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we can take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else, and you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way. So
I think that's enough, Musk.
Yeah, if he could expedite the retirement of 20 or 30,000 government employees a month, that the situation would greatly improve.
I think that's what they're aiming at, George.
I think that is. Well, they're not trying to dodge that question.
I'm glad I found that. Little snippet. I've also got Trump here.
At about 10 o'clock, if you want to come over, you can say hello to him.
Did the U.S. give anything in return?
Not much. No, they were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia, actually. I hope that's the beginning of a relationship where we can end that war and millions of people can stop being killed. They've lost millions of people. They lost, in terms of soldiers, probably 1.5 million soldiers in a short period of time. We got to stop that war. And I'm interested primarily from the standpoint of death. We're losing.
Yeah, so it wasn't that clip, but there's one clip recently where he says, maybe it's earlier in this press conference, where he says it's 1.5 million that they've both lost, which is not the narrative he was spewing like 2 weeks ago. That's what I was wanted to point out there. George, your take?
Oh, he has no idea what the numbers are. He's got, in defense of Trump, he's got, because I cannot tell you, I've been waiting for this day of Doge for decades now. I want to say, like, since the Reagan administration, this should have been going on. All right, so I applaud him for that. He's got so many numbers and so many balls in the air right now. And he's getting really bad advice about the Ukraine war. That's horrible. He doesn't know what the numbers are because he's a real estate developer and a business guy. Geopolitics, war fighting, he's relying on his general staff to give him the right numbers, and they're giving him complete fake numbers. That's what that means. So it's not his fault per se, because he has his expertise. The guy's a billionaire based on that expertise. He's not an intel guy. He's not a demographer. He's not a military expert. He never claimed to be. Yeah, he's being fed nonsense. That's what that means. He's right now, he just knows that Putin is dragging his feet about a meeting, because I'm guessing that Putin doesn't want to be rude. But the longer Putin delays this and drags his feet, everything I just said occurs. If they want to keep on putting Ukrainian men underneath the artillery fire, well, why would Putin stop them? Why would Putin sell gas, renew the gas contracts to save the EU, to save NATO, to save Trump? Why doesn't Putin? All Putin has to do is just do nothing.
We've got a classic here. This popped up on my feed today. It is the 12th of February as we record this. Mr. Trump, we don't need peace. We need weaponry to protect Ukrainian families. Mr. Trump, why would we need peace talks if Russia is to attack again tomorrow? And don't mind that Indian symbol in the background. That's just
symbol.
Hindu symbols. We've got it here, right here, the Hindu symbol. You can't dispute that. So, as we keep telling you, there are no Nazis in Ukraine. George?
What? What are you asking me now? You're talking to me about the Hindu symbol?
No, we discussed the Hindu symbol.
This whole thing is about trying to stop Russian natural gas. we played the video clips of the DW videos where they come out and say, oh, right, the DW Gazprom videos. I think Russian natural gas as a I don't know, as an evil empire or something like that. I don't know, corrupt empire. Whatever those videos were. They had the opening up of one of those videos. The guy says, "Oh, they don't want Russian Gazprom to sell gas to rebuild the Russian military." Okay, that's it in a nutshell. The opening of that video says it all. And then if people watch the third chapter of that strategy stuff in my hand video where he talks about production and wealth, that like 5 or 10 minute clip is geopolitics in a nutshell. You don't want them to sell their goods, produce, and then so they can trade for it, get money, and turn it into wealth. Okay, why don't you want to do that? Because they don't want Russia to have an energy-based, export-led growth strategy to fund an import substitution industrialization investment economic development program. So it's an ELG ISI development program, would be the acronyms that I usually talk in. So the whole basis of this is to strangle Russian economic development. And then they have to keep on throwing out, oh, Russia, for no reason invaded Ukraine. And then they leave out the fact that if you do a massive military buildup within 50 miles of the border, right on the the Azov Sea in Mariupol, well, that's directly threatening their shipping. In tactical operations, you call that a pre-attack indicator. So all of a sudden, all these military leaders
forget. That's a new term. You haven't used that term with us before. A pre-attack indicator, huh?
Yeah, when you all of a sudden put a
realize
whole bunch
that their artillery shells are pointed in your directions, like the guns.
Yeah, that would be when people point guns and rockets at you and tanks and mass it at your border. Yes, that would be called a pre-attack indicator. Yes.
So it wasn't unprovoked. It was a response to a pre-attack indicator, is what you're saying.
Yes, you need to take more tactical training courses and understand these things.
No, I mean, I just never knew the term. I'm pretty sure I understood it from gaming, but I understood it.
Oh yeah, people just Google. You can Google terrorist attack cycle, and bring up and go to images and just look at that, because it doesn't matter what kind of operational cycle you're talking about, they're all the same.
Wait, you're telling me to do that now?
Yeah, do it now. Do it 5 minutes ago. I mean, why?
Hold on. What did you say? Terrorist
attack cycle. The 5 stages. Usually it's 5 stages, but I'll break it down to 7 or 8 or whatever.
Both plus TV.
Yeah, so just click on one of those things. Yeah, okay, that one's got it in 8. Just click on one that says it in 5, because we just need to hit the major ones, not all of them.
Target disintegration selection, identification selection, planning, deployment, attack, escape,
and exploitation. Yeah, all right. So in geostrategic theory, my slide says I talk about, what is geopolitical strategies? Well, it's economic development theory, and that's all about how to take raw materials, process them in the through the industrial processes to make consumer goods out of them, and then distribute them to your consumers. So those 3 cycles, geopolitical, economic development theory is about how to efficiently do that with your logistical supply routes. So then what is geostrategic theory? It's about how to mess up and thwart the enemies at each one of those cycles. So that's what unrestricted warfare is about. That book by the Chinese people, several years ago. So you have political economic development theory, geostrategic theory, and then your target selection is, well, that's your targeting packages. So it's those three items. So your attack cycle is about identifying which area you're going to thwart or break up. So then you do your intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance on that. And that's how you do your target selection. You're looking for your biggest bang for the buck. So you're trying to look for usually softer targets, or if it's a hardened target, it better be worth some kind of cost benefit analysis. So then your next step is then your operational planning to strike it, and then the actual attack itself. And then, you're going to try to exit. It's whether you leave the scene, or you got to have an exit strategy to end a war or conflict or something. And your exploitation is about bragging about it in the media in some way. So if terrorists blow up something, Al-Qaeda loves to take credit for stuff, and we blew up something. Or if you have a big military victory, like in Syria, the different participants that, were loving the ousting of Assad were all cheering and slapping themselves on the back without realizing that the whole thing was prearranged between Erdogan, Aliyev, and Erdogan, because now Turkey can sell, as much natural gas, can charge whatever prices they want to Europe, because now the only natural gas pipelines going to Europe are from Turkey. So basically, if they just charge a little bit less than LNG, they maximize their profits. Russia doesn't care, because their contracts going through Ukraine already ended, and they blew up Nord Stream. So Putin doesn't care about that anymore. So when you get into the exploitation cycle, it's about bragging about it in some way. Or in Putin's case, if you're pulling a fast one, you're like, hey, by them winning, they've actually put themselves in a hole that they can't dig themselves out of. I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to let them keep on digging. And that's the situation that the United States is in now. But I put up the operational, well, it doesn't matter whether it's a terrorist operation planning cycle or an overt military operational planning cycle. An operational planning cycle is an operational planning cycle. It doesn't matter what modifier you put in front of it.
Thanks for sharing that with us. That was eye-opening. Energy Newsbeat, shout out, where you often pen things. You've got the understanding the catastrophic downside risk of Kellogg's plan and exploring alternatives. Do you want to give us the TLDR version of what you went through here?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I go into that in detail, but in it, well, I've already mentioned it. I've already alluded to it before. If the globalists retain the political positions in the EU and the different Danube River Valley by heavily influencing those democratic rituals that occur every year, and they can retain the political rituals. If like Zelensky totally stopped having those political rituals in Ukraine. They're trying to stop the political ritual from going on in Romania with Kalin Georgescu. Those political rituals is the political rituals that we're talking about. So yes, if the globalist politicians retain their power in, well, the CDU, CSU in Germany, Vander crazy in the EU, well, then European economy collapses anyway. So again, why is Putin going to change his course of action to save them? If Trump gets blamed for losing the Ukraine war, the EU and NATO all in one shot, loses the midterms, and then the Democrats take over this House and the Senate and then impeach Trump, well, why should Putin care? I mean, if Putin does absolutely nothing, just lets Europe collapse, yeah, he gets to get rid of everybody. And yeah, if the globalists take back over the United States and completely reverse Doge, well, then the United States, goes into insolvency itself and collapses. Again, why would Putin and Xi, do anything to stop that? Just sit back and do nothing. That's why that statement by Hegseth, these people are playing checkers and they're giving Trump a bad advice. Now, in defense of Hegseth, no, he's just a major. He's not trained at the grand strategic level. He's doing very good at the tactical and operational levels. I wish him the best. Recruiting effort is way, way up. That's good. He knows how to clean out the general staff of all the failed. He knows exactly who failed Iraq and Afghanistan and created that disaster. He knows how to get rid of them. That is great. He just needs better advice at the grand strategic level. Okay, I'm not holding my breath for them to knock on my door. Well, the people that would come through my door won't be knocking. It would be like, what's that guy's name?
No
Richard
knock.
Medhurst.
No knock raid.
It'll be a different type of operational planning cycle.
In any case, just in case they didn't have enough reason to come visit you, I wanted to flash up this little map that you sent along. That I asked you to send along. This is the Gaza Strip. Riviera. The Riviera. Like, it would be like the best, perfect Riviera. And has nothing to do with this little yellow blob here. What's this little yellow blob, George? Can you tell us?
I think that would be called the Leviathan oil field and gas field. Anyway, it's the one right off of Gaza. I can't remember every name of every oil field everywhere. There's a whole bunch of them around that area, and that's where they want to put the Riviera. That's where Trump is going to it's all messed up now. It's all blown up because of U.S. bombs were dropped on that area.
No, it just happened. It just happened. What do you mean U.S. bombs?
You're right.
Don't be ridiculous. So, like, Hezbollah propaganda. Where's my Hezbollah supporting thing? Did it fall? It fell. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to get it. Where's that other map?
Where's my Mossad coffee mug? I got to go get that thing.
Hold on. We've got this other thing here. This is Lebanon, and the northern part of that, like, Riviera. It's perfect. George, you want to tell people about this Riviera?
Yeah. Well, since these things fell out of the sky and all of a sudden Gaza's flattened, now they need to, for the safety of the Arabs that live there.
Hamas propaganda, I tell you. Hamas propaganda.
For their safety and their protection, it's better off that they be moved to Jordan or to the Sinai Peninsula or someplace like that. I don't know.
Or Europe.
But
they're even saying they could move to Europe,
Yeah. Oh, that would be, yeah.
Or Canada. Even move them to Greenland.
Yeah. That would be
because
I think they should go to Montreal.
They don't even want to live there. These people. Like,
I don't care.
No, I'm saying they don't want to live in Gaza because it's all destroyed. It just like
that's right.
This disaster happened. Nobody knows what happened, and then all of a sudden these people don't have any homes, and 10% of their like families and population are dead. But yeah, perfect Riviera for like beachfront.
Yeah, they're gonna build.
Has nothing to do with the oil and gas. Go on.
It just so happens that Jared Kushner has already got the plans laid out. He works very, very quickly overnight. It's not like it was planned years in advance or anything.
George, I think that's enough for today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've had enough Hamas propaganda, Russian propaganda. We've done everything possible here to get triggered.
With that shemagh that you got on,
Mhm.
did you get the matching suicide vest?
The vest? No, the vest is extra. I didn't get the vest. And also, this is a family heirloom. Actually, this is actually not mine. This is a family heirloom, for the record. But in any case,
I got my shemagh with the matching vest.
Well, you were on location. You were on location. You had to blend in.
Right. Well, I wanted everybody else was doing it.
Right. Everybody who stuck around for this comedy gold, thank you. Like, share, subscribe. George, as always, thanks for your patience, and we'll be talking again soon. All right.
Thanks.
Peace out.